I planned to end my life. My life was about being in the army. So when it failed, everything crashed. I walked from Kanyakumari to Kashmir in 156 days. During training, I fell 20 feet on my back. The army declared me permanently unfit. I couldn't make eye contact with myself. That changed the game for me completely. I think 99% of the love that people claim, it's not love, it's attachment. I love getting people married and I love breaking off marriages. You attract what you are. The warrior that doesn't come back home is a martyr. If you want a wild tigress, you'll also be scratched. I think men are very simple species if you speak their language.
From your coaching, what's the biggest mistake you see people making in modern dating?
Focusing too much of what they want in a partner rather than focusing on the value that they bring to the table.
Today's guest is Ronit, known as Mustang, an ex-Indian Army officer turned relationship coach who's helping people remove their masks and find authentic love. What makes him unique is his journey from military discipline to emotional vulnerability. As someone who has also served, I was in the Indian Navy, I'm fascinated by how much military training shapes us and sometimes limits us in relationships. We will talk about dating in places like Dubai, why modern men struggle with vulnerability, and the relationship frameworks that actually work. Whether you are struggling to find love, trying to understand your partner better, or wondering how to balance strength with vulnerability, this conversation will give you tools you can use immediately. Ronit, I always like to let my guests introduce themselves. So, for someone who's listening for the first time, who are you and what do you do?
I think on the technical side, I'm a life and relationship coach and I help people connect with themselves so that they can connect and relate with everybody else around them, be it their partners or business or money or anything around in their life. My spiritual part would be, I think I'm somebody who's trying to figure out this synchronicity between, there's a phrase in Sanskrit called Aham Brahmasmi, that I am everything. And then there's a concept of Shunyata, which says I am nothing. I'm currently figuring out the synchronicity of who am I. So on both sides is something that I'm exploring.
So, what do you mean by synchronicity when you mention synchronicity?
It's always in flow, you know. So I think there are days in which my idea of self and my world goes up. Then there are some days in which my idea of gratitude and, I'm just part of a larger consciousness and all that stuff goes in. It's synchronicity because it's always moving. I'm not a fan of the word balance because I think the moment there's a balance, it gets stuck there. And then you wouldn't know where to go. So it's always dynamic. Even in that spectrum, what is good for me? What is something that I can probably hold on to or define myself as? So that's what I mean by synchronicity. Like it's always moving. I don't know where it is, but I do know that I keep switching between these two extremes. I'm figuring it out.
I keep finding myself, and I think a lot of people gonna relate to this. Some days I'm like very pumped, and I'm thinking that yes, universe is with me. I get this sign, and then the next day I'll be somewhere here. I'm like, oh my god, I feel stuck. I don't know what's happening.
I think it's part of that. Yeah, and that's why I say synchronicity. Because I think if I get too attached or addicted to the idea of this, life's going to be very difficult because life's not always here. And if I get too morose and I keep operating from this, then I think there's no fun in life because I won't shoot for anything. So I think it keeps moving. I'm trying to see if there's a way in which I can be in the driving seat and sort of see where I can choose this or I can choose that. Otherwise, I think life just keeps happening and I'm just taken by surprise, be it something like this going or something like that going. And I keep responding to it. So not that I want to control it completely, but maybe predict some of it so that I can prepare myself. Otherwise, I think most of the times I'm just responding to what's happening right now. And I think universe has been very graceful to me. I feel that God, universe, whatever you believe in, it's a term in the army only. We call it specimen.
Specimen.
Okay. Specimen. I think the universe selects a few specimen and they're like, I think we will pass on some messages and some lessons through these 10 specimens. So give them a lot of shit. So I think I was one of the chosen ones. So a lot of things have been given to me, which I take it as gifts right now. Which brought a lot of suffering initially, but it's also brought a lot of wisdom and everything that I'm doing right now. But I'm trying to see how I can also let go of that identity because I've made most of my life about being a fighter and warrior
Hmm.
because I've done that all my life. It's gotten me where I am right now. And I'm very
Yeah.
grateful and I want to be a warrior. But I think it's incomplete. One of my mentors asked me this question. He was like, Ronit, it's great. You're fighting, you're a warrior. But what will you do if there's no fight? And I didn't have an answer to it.
Hmm.
And then he told me that, Ronit, it's great to be a warrior. Go fight for what you believe. But a warrior that doesn't come back home is a martyr. And a
Hmm.
martyr is a good thing to put a picture on, but then there's no use because he's not there. He said that a warrior has to come back home to be a lover. So I think I'm currently trying to explore that journey of how I can keep coming back to home,
Hmm.
be it myself, be it a person, be it a city, be it something that I can call my own.
Hmm. So you are in that
Like,
transition phase.
yeah, yeah,
So when you mentioned fighter or being a warrior,
yeah.
I saw that you were in the Indian Army.
Mm.
Even I was a part of Indian Navy. What was your experience like?
I think the best thing I learned from the institution of the armed forces is anything can be done. And all the limitations that we put it are all here.
Hmm.
If you break the barriers here, a human body can push itself more than we can ever imagine. I think that's the biggest lesson from there. Another good lesson I've learned from there is this whole idea of camaraderie
Hmm.
and brotherhood. My squad mates, 13, 14 people. Even though we don't speak much regularly because we're all busy in our life, but if there's something needed, like if one brother calls out for help, people will show up no matter what.
Yeah.
So that sort of camaraderie that, you have a few people who would kill for you and get killed as well, both. And they'll have fun while doing it.
Yeah.
I think that's something I really like about the armed forces. It's very difficult to stand out and express what you truly feel
Hmm.
because it's so regimented and structured that it takes care more of the collective voice rather than individual voice.
Yeah.
And I'm somebody, I love having my opinions and I love speaking out and
Mm.
open. And I've been reprimanded and punished a lot because of that. That's a part that I've not enjoyed much. We could use a lot of emotional intelligence in the army as well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of soldiers and officers have become so numb that they have started detaching from themselves and they've become tools to get a task done.
Mm.
But I feel not that they have to be comfortable because I understand the challenges that a soldier has to have to
Yeah.
do the operations, but they're still human. And I think there could be more teachings and learnings around how is it that you process your emotions, still perform, but process rather than suppressing. Because I think with a lot of my course mates and seniors, I see a lot of them suffering from inside because they don't know how to speak.
Right.
And eventually it isolates them from their marriages, from their relationships, and from themselves as well. And they just become a tool.
Mm.
Something I think all Army, Navy, Air Force, they can do better.
Yeah. Because I think that's one of the biggest wound which I am also still carrying. Because a few days ago there was some stressful situation I found myself in, and I couldn't react. I was just completely numb because I was angry, I was frustrated, I was sad, all at the same time. And I don't know how to react or pass down the message like, okay, what's going on? And I felt completely numb. I mean, I exploded with my mentor.
Yeah.
And the next day, he told me that what actions now you can take, which will make that problem solve instead of just keeping it in your head. And that helped me a lot.
And what is it that you do to process your emotions?
Write down the problem first. Like, what's the problem? And why is it affecting me?
Yeah.
And what are the actionable steps I can take to solve that problem? And what's the most urgent action I can take right now, which can help me go one step ahead? So I try to focus on that instead of the problem then. And yeah, I mean, so far that's been...
But that's how you solve it.
Yeah.
How do you process it?
How do I process it? Really good question. I just get numb. I'm not able to process it at that moment because that's what's one of the biggest challenges I'm facing right now. That a problem comes and I'm just numb. And then slowly I tap into myself. I try to talk to my loved ones. Like, okay, this is what's happening. And slowly I process that. I don't know whether that's a right answer or not.
I mean, it's your answer. There's no right or wrong answer. But I was very curious to know because every time I speak to a man about how you process their emotion and they start telling me the solution making.
Yeah.
I love reflecting and be like, that's the solution. I mean, I used to do it.
Yeah.
I also didn't know. I also, for the longest time in my life, I thought you have to solve
Yeah.
an emotion. I would do that in my relationships also. Like if my partner's, let's say, expressing something, I'm like, yeah, this is how you can do about it. And then I'll get yelled at because I'm like, because I think for a lot of men, their way of processing is trying to solve, but it doesn't work in emotions. Emotions need to be felt and not solved. I'm still learning.
Yeah, but that helped me connect the dot. What I do now is I take a long breath. I just start focusing on my breath first.
Yeah.
And then I feel, okay, what am I feeling right now? And then I have a chart of emotions like, okay, where I'm at.
Yeah.
And then I find out. And then I'm like, okay, why am I feeling that? That's how I am processing it.
Yeah, it's a good practice.
Yeah.
If you take some time to just breathe, good process.
Yeah.
I also find it very cute how wherein like you're talking about it and then you look at her. it's like sort of like, huh, everything's good. It's very cute. Yeah.
Thank you. So how do you think military training shaped you to relationships both positively and negatively?
When I look back, I can pull out a lot of things and make meanings out of this is what I implemented in my relationship. But I think while I was in the military, while most of the people are in the military, there's not a lot of emphasis given on relationship building, to be honest. A lot of activities are done in a way that you can build some bonding between your course mates. But in general, human relationships is something that's not taught.
The connection.
The connection is not taught because the system operates on discipline and ragda and fear.
Yeah.
It's a very hierarchical approach. And it's very difficult to build relationships of vulnerability and value and respect when there's too much hierarchy. If a senior asks you, how are you doing? And if you say, sir, I'm fine, then you get screwed. Because in the army, fine means fuck is not enough.
Yeah.
So the senior's like, oh, so I think you're not getting enough in your squadron. And then he'll start screwing. If you don't respond to him, you're screwed again because you're like, oh, you don't want to respond to your senior, disrespecting. If you express that this is what I'm going through, then he'll go and screw my overstudy because how dare a junior in front of another senior talk about how his squadron is not doing well. So no matter what you say, you will get rogered there.
Yeah.
So then people just end up suppressing. So that's what's been taught there as well. Like I remember when we were in the academy, thinking is a 4th term privilege. So out of 6 terms, for the first 3 terms, you're not allowed to think. You're just allowed to follow what you said.
Yeah.
From 4th, you can start thinking. So it's not the healthiest space, I think, in terms of building relationships. Because then you end up carrying a old regimented system and now you start implementing into a world that is changing.
Yeah.
I get a lot of hate for saying this sometimes, but a lot of things get passed down under the name of tradition, which is not that great. I mean, some traditions are beautiful in the army and they should be there forever, but some have become outdated.
Yeah.
It's very important that when we talk about modernizing the military and the armed forces, we also modernize the mindset and the way we deal with humans, because at the end of the day, they're all humans.
Yeah.
Somebody's willing to risk their whole life and, risk their whole life and serve for you. Back in India, what we do is we don't care about all of that. And the way we overcompensate is by, giving us a lot of surface level patriotism, respect to the army. Like, oh yeah, people in the uniform are so great, this and that. And all their patriotism comes when an India-Pakistan match happens, everybody becomes a patriot, or when a political thing happens, everybody becomes a patriot.
Yeah.
But beyond that, nobody gives a shit about it. Nobody cares about it.
That's right. Like how
that needs to change.
Yeah, how the Jawan is feeling.
Yeah, nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares. They'll be just happy. Oh yeah, this guy, he's an Indian. Oh, he's an Indian army.
Exactly. And now this Border 2 is coming. And Border 2, if you know, Border 2 is coming, and the OG song, it has come out.
Oh, wow.
Sandeshe Aate, the modernized version of it, getting millions of views. And you will see the people just going gaga, oh my God, oh, Indian army, oh, I'm a patriot and all of that. I'm like, where were you before this song?
That's right.
For a lot of people, I think not all, but a lot of it is just trying to project and fake things, which is something, and not just in the army, I think everywhere.
Yeah.
People are just trying to, live up to the status quo because they want to feel significant.
The sense of respect.
Sense of respect, all of that stuff. Which, as of now, I think if all of us can just be a little more authentic, then it'll be easier to just relate with each other in whatever capacity.
I'll be honest, I mean, coming out from military, I had to unlearn a lot of emotional expression.
Yeah.
Was that a part of your journey too?
When I came out of the army, when my career ended, I was diagnosed with depression and PTSD. First time I got introduced to these terms. I was also suicidal for a bit because my whole life was about being in the army, and then I was nowhere, and I felt like I failed myself, I failed my country, I failed my parents, everybody. I failed, and I'm not man enough, and I don't deserve to be here. I had so many things going inside. For me, my way of processing emotions was by sports, because I used to play a lot of sports.
Yeah.
But after my injury, I was barred from playing anything professionally. Like somebody told me start to journal. I started journaling, and I started writing poetries. So I think poetry became an emotional release for me. And then I was in Bangalore back then. Bangalore has a beautiful poetry circle. I started performing in a lot of places, and very soon I started getting recognized. They used to call me as that ex-Fauji guy who makes people cry, because all my initial poems were just sad. They were about death and love and failure and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I found my way of processing and channelizing my emotion through poetry. Through poetry, I got back into public speaking, into coaching, facilitating, motivational speaking, and all of that. Nothing compares to a catharsis than just like expressing your heart out without trying to fix it or looking for a solution or whatever. Just like, and that's why sometimes we have the craziest rant with our friends. Ki dunya ye hai, dunya ye. And it feels so good,
Yeah.
because nobody's trying to fix it.
Right.
So that's how I found my way. And of course, when I got into therapy and coaching, then I learned different communication models. I learned different coaching styles. And then, some I learned, and I built a lot of it while working with people, because that's the best practice ground. And as I kept interacting with people from different age, different gender, different walks of life, different kind of problems and challenges, I think it started building my vocab. So I think now I've reached a point wherein I'm fairly able to communicate most of the things that I'm able to feel, as long as I know what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Of course, there's sometimes when even I don't know what am I feeling, because I'm feeling 5 different things at the same time.
Yeah.
So then I take some time, and then I'll be like, after a few days, I'm like, oh, I thought I was feeling this, but it's actually this. Once I identify, then I'm able to express whatever it is. Started learning how to ask for that space. Because I think for me, I don't know if it's a man thing, but for me, especially in relationships, close relationships, I would feel the pressure to like express and address then and there, because most of the women in my life, they'll demand an answer then and there. But I'm like, bro, I don't know. And I would feel that if I ask for space, then they leave me, and then my abandonment wound would come out. So I would not, and then I'll end up saying that, yeah, this is what I felt. But 3 days later, I realized, no, it was this. And after 3 days, when I went to them and be like, this is what I'm feeling, they're like, no, but you told me you were feeling this. And I'm like, yeah, because I don't know. So then after a while, I stopped expressing myself, and I realized this is even bad. It's worse. So now I've started to learn that if I don't know what I'm feeling, I'm going to ask the other person, hey, I need some space, maybe 7 days, 10 days.
Yeah.
And I'll come back to you. I give them a soft timeline so that they're not anxious. And I'll come back to them.
Yeah.
And I'll use that time to process it in my pace and not out of pressure. Pressure to figure out your emotion doesn't work. Men have this box called the nothing box. So all men have this one specific part wherein we just love doing nothing.
Nothing, yeah.
I would
just lie down, relax,
Just
do
there,
nothing, yeah.
And sometimes these breakthrough moments, these ideas or the processing happens there, and then we're like, makes, and then we're back to doing nothing. And when we have to get up, then we'll probably act on whatever's done. So I think that works for me. But communicating, keeping people in loop of what is going on, rather than going in isolation. Like I used to go in isolation for months, and now my friends don't know where I am. Like nobody would know where am I. I'm just in my isolation, and once I figure out my thing, I'll come back and resurface as if nothing happened. And I realize it's not healthy for other people around me, because then there's a lot of unpredictability in their life. So I'm trying to be more predictable in life for my friends so that they can count on me.
Yeah. I think a lot of men, and especially Indian men, they are resistant to taking therapy, because I also had this man mask on me that, oh no, I don't need anything. I'll just play sport. I'll just fool around and I'll be fine.
I'll go to the gym.
Yeah. How did you got into therapy, and who introduced you to therapy, and how helpful did you find it?
So I also had a lot of resistance to therapy. I think it had got to do a lot with ego. A lot of ego. Because I'm like, how can someone else tell me about how I'm feeling? Like, it makes no sense. Like, I think for me, therapy came as like the last point, like when it was not working. Like nothing I was trying was helping, and I tried everything I could, and it started affecting me and my close ones. And then I realized that okay, maybe just give it a shot, and I did, and it helps. 75 to 80% of the people who come for coaching and therapy to me are women. Men resist therapy a lot, partly because it's always been fed to us that seeking help is seen as a sign of weakness. That if you're asking for help, which means you are not resourceful or equipped enough to solve a problem. And it's not that you can not sort a lot of things out. You can definitely sort a lot of things by yourself. It'll just take you 10, 20 years. But by the time you sort them, it's probably too late.
Yeah.
If they seek professional help, it will save years, if not decades, of their life. I think the most gutsy thing a man can do is ask for help. Because the amount of humility, the amount of strength it takes to be vulnerable, to put your guard down, that takes a lot of strength, not by hiding. I think hiding is easy.
Yeah.
I think for men, at least as of now, given this fabric of society, I wouldn't suggest that just go out and be vulnerable everywhere.
Yeah.
But at the same time, don't hold yourself. Like, learn how to sense an environment. If you think it's safe, phail jao. Be open. So it depends on the environment. I think I'm fairly good in understanding environments. And I open my layers accordingly.
Yeah. Okay. So Ronit, what made you go from army officer to relationship coach? That's quite a shift.
Yeah. It's been fairly natural. So I didn't know what to do after the army. So I was trying different things, doing a business. I've had 6 failed businesses back to back.
I'm sorry to cut you in between, but like what made you leave Indian Army, if you don't mind sharing that?
2017, I was during training, I was doing a particular exercise and I fell from the training ropes on my back. So it was around 20 feet. And I fell on hard ground and I have a deformity in my L2, L3, L4, L5 and was paralyzed on my hip for a month and a half. And because it's a permanent deformity, the army declared me permanently unfit. So I was medically boarded out there.
Oh my God.
So that's how it ended.
And what was that feeling like for you?
It was the end of the world for me. I planned to end my life.
Oh my God.
I was diagnosed with depression and PTSD because I spent my whole life to be there. My life was about being in the army. So when it failed, everything crashed and I couldn't make eye contact with myself. Although it was not my fault, but I somehow felt that I failed. Even after working so hard and dedicating your entire life towards something, I still failed. So what's the point anymore? So I think it was that. And then when I decided that, okay, let me try living, so I had to figure out what to do in life. So I thought, let me just experiment. So poetry was one of the things I was exploring. Then I was working on social work. I was working on child sex abuse. I was working on menstrual hygiene. Then I was working on some wacky things, man, because I wanted to make some money. So I also got into this multi-level marketing, networking marketing, all of that stuff as well. Because, I mean, people told me that was quick money. So I thought, why not? Then I tried my hand at some businesses, a lot of failed experience, but I kept coming back to speaking and coaching. And every time I would speak or interact with people, I would get a feedback that they were able to relate, that I was able to touch them in some way. And I thought that maybe it's a gift that I have, like connecting with people. And so while I was doing other things, I just kept coming back. And then I think 2020, when COVID happened, like it took a hit on everybody's mental health. And that's when a lot of people started seeking support from me. And then I was doing this particular journey. I don't know if you know, but 2021, I walked from Kanyakumari to Kashmir.
Oh, wow.
In 156 days. It was for a campaign on mental health. That changed the game for me completely. Like from that point onward, I decided that no, like leave everything else. Coaching is what I want to do.
While growing up, I always had this question whenever I saw someone walking from one corner to other corner of the world. So how does it work? I mean, firstly, of course you plan, but like, do you rest somewhere in between? How do you take snack break?
For the walk story, so we'll have to do a separate podcast altogether. It was total 4,000 kilometers, 156 days. My average would be 45 to 50 per day.
Okay.
And of course, I would not walk daily. So I would walk for 6-7 days and I will take 1-2 days off to pop off my blisters and, take care of my injuries because I'd get injured a lot.
Yeah.
and slept in a lot of places, man. Like when I started from Kanyakumari. So till Tamil Nadu, Karnataka stretch, my average was around 27 to 30 kilometers only, because I was trying to do it in one go. I got so many injuries while throwing. But once I started learning how my body is responding, so then I started taking breaks. So then what I would do is I would walk in batches. So I'll start at 3:30, 4 in the morning. I'll do my first stretch, which would be around 15 kilometers. Then I'll take a break. Then I'll do another 5. Then break another 5, another 5, another 5. And that's what I was able to start pulling 50 every single day.
Okay.
Finding an accommodation near the towns and cities was very easy, because I would just put my route on social media. And then I've had hundreds of families who hosted me. So that's why I keep telling people that I have families across the country.
Yeah.
They've hosted me. The tricky ones were between the cities, where these village stretches or barren stretches or forest stretches wherein there's nothing, there's no village or anything.
Yeah.
I would need to find somewhere where there are people, because unfortunately it's also not safe for a man to walk alone in this country.
Yeah.
In my whole 156 days, I was harassed thrice
Oh my God.
by men. If I were a woman, then that number would go 10x.
100%.
But it's unsafe in general. I've slept in, again, mandirs, masjid, gurdware, churches, petrol pumps, hospitals, police stations. I've slept in jails. I keep telling people sometimes I've been to jail as well, because I'll walk up to a police station.
That was your choice to go to the jail.
Yeah. So my choice, because I would go and I'll tell them, I'll show them my newspaper clipping and all that. And I said, this is what I'm doing. I need a place to crash. And they're like, we don't have any place. And I'm like, oh, I see a lockup. And they're like, if you're fine, we're fine. And I've slept in lockups as well.
Wow.
I think it's one of the most difficult but fulfilling and humbling things I've ever done in my life. Like, the man I was before the walk versus after the walk became very different. By the time I finished my walk, I realized I think this is my calling and this is what I do full time. And then I had my epiphany. My purpose was in life was to stand in the border and protect lives. I realized that even though I'm not in the border, I can still save lives from inside the border through the work that I'm doing. I also want to work with the forces, not just in India, but like, because it's the same story in every country.
That's right.
But it's one of the things I want to do eventually, work with people in the forces and try to bring some emotional intelligence there. Like for work, if I have to sum up like something I enjoy the most, I love getting people married and I love breaking off marriages. Like I love both of them equally, because my goal is to make somebody uncover all the masks they have so that whatever's left is authentic.
Yeah.
And if in that authenticity, you have another authentic person, I want to get you married. And if you realize both of this in authenticity, they are different people, get away and build something authentic. So I love doing that.
So you talk about helping people remove their masks. What mask were you wearing in the military?
That I don't need anyone else. That I can do everything by myself. I think that was the biggest mask. When I removed that mask, I realized it was coming from a space of fear, because I had problems trusting other people. And because I wouldn't be able to trust, I would romanticize the idea of being a lone wolf. I think that mask I've carried for a very long time. I'm going to be a lone wolf and I'll figure it out. Some men are born to walk a separate path.
Yeah,
you know?
just like a tiger.
Yeah. Oh, bullshit. How that works.
So when did you first realize that military style emotional control wasn't serving you in relationships?
Mostly because largely till the time I was in the army, I was single.
Yeah.
So that's one evidence. My relationship with the women in my life was not great, which means my relationship with my sister, she's 1 year younger to me, and my relationship with my mom. There was a lot of love. I don't think there was a lot of respect. Like I would take them for granted. I would not create a safe space wherein they would be able to express something to me, because I would be very reactive, or I would be like that young, angry man. And when I came out of the army, I realized that model doesn't work in the civilian setup, at least, is when I was not able to express myself only. Like, I was such a overachiever guy. Like, even in the army, I was doing a lot of things. Like, I got academic torch. I was a torchy. I was a merit card awardee for athletics. I was commended by the Air Marshal. I was a national level MC speaker. I was doing all of that there as well. But even after all of that, after it was done, I didn't even know how to express how I was feeling or what was going on, or ask for help. And I thought, if after doing all of that, if I'm here, which means there's something big that is missing.
So there's a research by a Journal of Military Psychology, which happened in 2022.
Yeah.
It says that veterans are 40% more likely to struggle with emotional intimacy in relationships.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something about military training that creates that challenge?
Yeah, it does. I think we've already touched base on that. It's
Yeah.
communication and vulnerability starts with you offering that. You know, if I want Abhiveer to be vulnerable with me, I have to offer that first. Same goes in relationship. Like if I expect my partner to feel safe and share her things, I need to initiate that as well. Right? I can't just let her keep doing the hard work because then someday she'll get burnt out. The way in the military it start is to military has a very stoic approach. Is that whatever you're feeling, just keep it to yourself and get the job done, and you just keep putting it under the rug. But that's not how emotions work, because when you study emotions, you'll realize that it all gets stored in our nervous system. Nothing is forgotten.
Yeah.
So even if you've not spoken about something for 10 years, 20 years, it's still there. If there's a trigger if there's an opportunity, it will come out. So
the body carries that trauma.
Yeah, it does.
And I can still feel it. I mean, I'm having chronic pain in my neck and my left leg cuff.
True.
And I'm trying to heal that by tapping into, like, when did it start?
It does, man. It does. Like for me, my lower back and my inner thigh. So every time I do a somatic practice, like a breath work or any sort of somatic thing, the first body parts that respond are my lower back and my inner thigh. They start fluttering like this. And because I carry a lot of trauma and probably shame as well in my body that way. Yeah.
So people who doesn't know what somatic breathing or somatic therapy is, can you please explain?
So somatic is anything to do with the body. Soma means body.
Yeah.
So for example, me talking, it's talk therapy. But anything that I work with my body, so be it through breath, be it through touch, be it through movement, anything that involves the soma, it's called somatic work. So breath work is one of the somatic work wherein we use the power of breath to tap into our subconscious net, to tap into our nervous system, and whatever is there, it gets released in different parts of our body. So that's somatic work in terms of breathing.
So you mentioned you have to be vulnerable. For men who are coming from traditional backgrounds, how do you teach them to be vulnerable?
Nobody can be taught vulnerability. Vulnerability can only be experienced. And it'll happen by trusting. With men specifically, it's at least something I feel I've cracked a little bit, because I was observing a lot. The languages in which different genders respond to is very different. So let's say if I'm sitting in a room full of women, and when I have to create a safe space and vulnerability, then my language would go like, this is a safe space and there's no judgment here, and like I'm there for you, and whatever happens, it's here. Whatever you're feeling is very valid, and you can express, and we'll hold space for you. We'll hold this together. Women respond to that language better. I've seen that in a group setting. For men, it doesn't work. The language that I've seen working for men would be sometimes a little provocative, a little challenging, but then also giving them safe. So it'll probably sound something like, hey man, it takes a lot of balls, like a lot of courage for you to do that. I'm proud of you. Do you think it's possible for you to do that? So men respond to being challenged because then they want to respond. So you can bring out a lot of conversations from them. If we learn to speak the language of men, it is easy to connect with them. The problem is, most of the literature that is out there right now is more feminine centric. In a lot of like therapy space, you will see in a room full of people, you go to a classroom, out of 50 women, there are 4 men, right? So a lot of literature and research that comes out, again, is sort of dominated by women. So that language comes out a little more. So we need more literature. We need more conversations by men. Like, for example, we need more podcasts by men speaking about men, right? So once that is out, once men learn how to speak that language, I think it's going to be very easy to connect with men. I think men are very simple species. We are very simple beings. Like, it's so easy to motivate us. It's so easy to manipulate us. If a woman knows how to crack you, she'll get whatever she wants, like, from you. Like, she'll get it done, because if she knows how to speak the language, she'll get it done. And you would feel that you are winning while doing it, but it's her who's winning. Men are very simple that way. If you speak their language,
So Ronit, I'm really curious to know about the balance. I mean, how do you maintain that inner strength and discipline while also being emotionally open?
I don't like the term balance. I find balance to come from a lot of control or that I'm trying to balance all these things.
Mm.
Who am I? I can't control all of it. I've never actively sat and thought, okay, I'm trying to figure out my internal strength and this and that. For me, I think the major funda that I follow in life is I'll just go out and try.
Mm.
It'll happen great. If it doesn't happen, I'm gonna learn from it. I'm gonna pivot. So there's this thing. It's a tattoo. It says "Kat khali 1 2 3 4."
Mm.
So it's a drill instruction back in the army that when we're doing our march past and we have to change our direction, so it's "Kat khali 1 2 3 4." And the meaning for me is you keep walking in whichever direction you think is the right direction. And now let's say you get stuck somewhere. Now assess whether it's worth fighting. If it's worth fighting, go die for it. Die trying. But if it's not worth it, then just cut khali 1 2 3 4, pivot, move. Just keep moving forward and you will figure it out. I try to keep my life very simple. Like, for example, if I'm talking in a podcast, so I'll use these terms. But in my real life, I don't use these terms. I just feel like, ki, bhai, what needs to be done? Like, kya karna hai? Oh, ye karna hai? Nahi karna hai? Theek hai, move. I think what has worked for me is I never stay stuck somewhere. I move, I take a call, and it's not that it lands every time. I make a lot of mistakes and I fail too many times. But even if I fail, I am not stuck. I have a different perspective. So I know that, okay, maybe I need to fix this or maybe I need to go a different direction. So I just keep moving forward and that works for me. And then other people think of it as discipline and motivation. For me, it's just one step at a time. Just keep moving forward.
Yeah, you just don't have to stop and be stuck on that one goal.
Yeah.
You just keep moving on. You'll keep finding ways to reach there.
Yeah. Goals change, visions change, everything change. Nothing is constant. So there's no point trying to fixate that.
That was something really hard for me to digest. That, okay, I wanted to become a tennis pro, play all these big tournaments. And then when that dream shattered, a part of me didn't want it to accept it. That's why it took me 3-4 years to just overcome that. And then my mentor made me realize that, yes, there are different goals for different phases of your life. So now if you can't make it, you can make somebody else.
True. I think it's the larger question would be, at the end, what was it about? So like for me, the army thing was about serving and protecting people. So I still do that through a different medium. For me, for sports, like cricket was a very important part of my life. And I miss cricket. And I was also fixated, maybe I want to play a tournament. But I'm like, if it's about cricket for me, playing cricket, I can still play some local tournament and all that. I don't have to be recognized for it, but I would still love to play it for the love of the sport I have. And tomorrow, let's say if I get an opportunity to work with cricketers and their emotional well-being, I'm still in a way able to do that. So, I mean, at the end, it was about cricket, right? You can still make it about cricket, be it playing it or coaching it or podcasting around it or commenting. So, and I've seen some people who do that, and I think it's very inspiring when they do it.
So since you mentioned cricket, who was your favorite cricketer?
Dhoni,
or who is
period.
Dhoni?
Dhoni was, Dhoni is, Dhoni will be. I think I don't just look up to him as a player. I look up to him as a man. I think he's a very good example of everything we speak of. And of course, he's a flawed man and he would have his different things and all that. But I learned so much from him in terms of, there's a reason why he's called Captain Cool. There's a reason why he wins so many things. There's a reason why he's not loud, but he's celebrated. I love that about malehood in general. He'll be my favorite sports person, period.
Yeah, because the moment you said that you're from Ranchi, Jharkhand, and I was like, I know, who's your favorite?
Yeah, but it's not because of that. Like, I think it was before that only, but I think Dhoni is somebody I've learned a lot from. Yeah.
So, Ronit, I see you get a lot of questions about dating in Dubai. People always say it's impossible there. What do you tell them?
You attract what you are. If I observe that I'm mostly attracting bad partners for myself, then maybe they are not the problem. I am. And maybe I might want to reflect. There might be a big misalignment between what I actually want, what I think I want, and what I say I want. And people get confused in all of that. Dubai is a lot about material, success, shiny, money, all of that, which is great to pursue, by the way. Like I've been getting very inspired the last few days and be like, shit, yeah, like I think my money mindset is so small. Like, like Dubai will push you to expand your money mindset. I loved it about it.
Yeah.
But in terms of dating, I was like, there is plenty. It's a problem of plenty. There's so many options here that you end up choosing nobody because somewhere you're also trying to land the perfect partner.
Yeah.
Which never happens. Nobody's perfect. to create anything conscious and long term, there's a lot of investment and work that needs to be put. I've also done it in my past, wherein I would feel that, okay, fine, I already work so hard on my life and my career and my business and my family. So at least in my relationship, I don't want to work. At least there's one space wherein I want to chill. But just because you have to take care of other things doesn't mean you don't take it. Being in a relationship is a full-time job.
Yeah.
And you either sign up for the job or you don't sign up for the job. You don't get to sign up for a job and then be a terrible, employee. You can't. If you sign up, you have to show up. A lot of us run from the work that comes. We only want the rewards. We don't want the work. But coming specifically to Dubai, what I've noticed is I think most of them get lost in the shine of this place. And everybody's wanting to shoot for the brightest star out there.
Yeah.
Rather than asking themselves that, what is really important for me? Like, what are my top 3 values? What are my top 5 values? What is it I seek in a companionship? Like, we stop asking ourselves, and instead of asking those questions, we are out in the market with a big list of these are things I want from the other person.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of mismatch that's happening, not just in Dubai, but everywhere. But most of the metro cities, and most of the developed cities, including Dubai, is a very big problem. People are so stuck in their ways that the malleability, them wanting to bend or compromise or adjust, nobody wants to do that. I think everybody is getting into the zone of, accept me or take me as I am or off you go.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works in relationship.
Right.
Like, it has to be a very passionate, beautiful dance. I bend a little bit, I adjust a little bit, you adjust a little bit, because the goal is to build something beautiful together. I think if we take our heads out of our asses and look at the world, dating would be easier.
What is it about cities like Dubai which makes dating so challenging?
Convenience. If I want something, it's right here. Food, stuff, furniture, everything. So we somehow feel that finding a partner should also be like that, which is why swiping works. And the more you swipe, it's like, oh, I have 100. If I have only 3 things on the table to eat, I will eat them and I'll enjoy. If I have 100 things on the table, I'll spend most of the time thinking which food is good and might not enjoy.
Yeah.
So convenience and getting everything here on our phone is that. And second is social media, because most of the things we see on social media is not the original stuff. Like, it's a very fabricated, good lighting, scripted thing. But we think that is our reality. So then our expectation of that person or that sort of partner becomes that. Like, I noticed this about myself. Like, my current crush is a very famous content creator or a business lady back in India. And I've never even spoken to her. But I found myself crushing on her. Why? Because I saw her social media page and I was like, oh, she's such a good businesswoman also. She's pretty also. She works out also. She does all of that, right? And in my head, I created that image of her and I'm like, oh shit, like, she's my crush.
Yeah.
But I've not even spoken to her and it makes no sense. So it's like a very natural thing that ends up happening. But being mindful of the fact that at the end of the day, it's about connecting with a person in real life. I think if people start connecting with people in real life, be it Dubai or any other metro city, I think dating would become easier. I think now what has happened is, even let's say you found somebody very cute in a cafe, hardly people go walk up to them. The first thing most of them do is check out their dating app and see in 1 kilometer radius, can they see their profile or not? So I think we've become a little more chicken in our life. And like in older times, people just walk and approach and, it'll become easier. I think if we go back to older ways of dating, I think it'll be much easier.
Yeah, even now I found myself in that loop 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Where I was just constantly swiping left and right and ending up nowhere. I was just hollow in the end. I was like, okay, where am I? What am I doing? It's just another distraction. Every week there's a new distraction. And you just telling that same story again and again, pasting it from here, copy and paste. So Ronit, the next topic I want to come on to is, what masks do you see Indian men wearing in relationships, especially those who are living abroad?
There's this narrative of Indian men wanting a very strong, independent woman, but not being able to handle it when she actually shows up like that. So I've seen a lot of Indian men and their preference be like, yeah, she'll be strong, independent, and all that stuff, but she should also be very family oriented. She should know how to, be around my parents and all that. I'm like, if you want a wild tigress, you will also be scratched.
100%.
Right? If you want to be, if you have some tamed kitty, then have a tamed kitty, but then your life would look differently.
Right.
But a lot of Indian men are claiming that they want a tigress, but they don't show up as a tiger.
Yeah.
So they end up disappointing that tigress and end up disappointing themselves. And then, of course, they'll not admit that I am the problem. So then they'll start pointing fingers out that tigress, that she's the problem. The biggest problem that men I see, Indian men specifically, doing it of this. I'm like, you do it, no?
Right.
You don't do half the things you want her to do.
Yeah.
If you do it, why not? Your partner will do it. But it's a very one-sided expectation that, oh, just because I'm a man, then I can, claim these things. It doesn't work like that.
One thing I noticed in Indian men is they love their things to be get done.
Yeah.
They don't want to give anything back.
True.
And I caught myself also there that I am also having the same pattern, which of course I'm working on how to get over that.
Yeah.
But I keep giving excuses.
When it comes to pleasing our bosses, then you'll see men doing 100 things, right? But when it comes to showing up the partner, then they're like, no, you're supposed to do this.
Yeah.
Doesn't work like that.
So how do cultural expectations around masculinity affect modern dating?
For Indian men, they've been told all their life, they've been conditioned that you don't express their emotion. So if they're not able to express their emotions, it's very difficult to connect in a romantic relationship. So it directly affects them. Second, men are always told that you have to be the caretaker all the time. So if I'm always in the provider mode, it becomes very difficult for me to receive. For example, in my last few relationships, I've gotten the same feedback. So now I've taken a break from dating because I'm like, no, I really need to fix that. My last 3 partners have told me that, Ronit, you don't let me give you love. You're just too busy giving. You don't receive what I have to offer. And I got repeated feedback. I'm like, that is true, because I never learned how to receive, and all I've learned is how to give. And somewhere, because I never received, I started overcompensating it by overgiving. So I've made love about just giving. But it won't work in a relationship, because even the other partner wants to give and feel good about that as well. But if I don't give that opportunity to them, then I'm just being too selfish. Because even if somebody would do something for me, in my head, I'm like, oh, I need to. I owe them and I need to give them back something.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work. Like, I'm still learning. I haven't figured it out yet. Small steps I'm learning. Third conditioning, I think, for Indian men that is affecting relationships would be is the woman who has to adjust and change things around her life. So somewhere there's all like a preconceived notion that, let's say, if both of the partners are working, somehow the woman will change her job or her location because she has to be closer to the guy.
Yeah.
And I think there's a sense of entitlement that guys have. That is assumed. Shadi ke baad to I think she'll only move, or she's gonna. And barely men ask the same question to women. Is that, what if the woman has something established there? Like the humility. Like, I think if you're really a man and if you believe that, you can start a business anywhere, then move into her city maybe, and then try doing something of your own. So I think that sense of entitlement that Indian men have, that women will adjust, I think that also affects relationship, because now, and I'm so proud and happy to say this, like, the rate at which women are getting empowered is much faster than the rate men are getting empowered. So women have started owning the world, right? And if men don't catch up, then these tigers will fucking eat you and shit through you out as well.
Yeah.
You cannot operate from a sense of entitlement that they'll keep adjusting, right? Learn how to collaborate with them.
Yeah.
I think that will solve relationships. I think these top 3 conditioning need to be changed, at least in India.
You need to learn to collaborate, because relationship or marriage, it's like a business. I see it as a business.
It is a lot like business. Yeah. A healthy business.
Yeah.
Where everybody wins.
So I was going through another study by International Journal of Intercultural Relations. Studies show that in expat communities and transient cities, people are 60% more likely to avoid serious relationships due to uncertainty.
Yeah.
How do you help people commit despite not knowing where they'll be in 2 years?
There's a very beautiful quote. It's in Hindi, so I'll say in Hindi and then I'll translate it because the beauty is in Hindi. It says कि जब चिड़िया किसी पतली सी डाल पे बैठती है ना, तो चिड़िया ये नहीं सोचती है कि वो डाल टूट जाएगी तो क्या होगा. चिड़िया ये सोचती है कि मेरे पंख इतने strong है ना कि मैं उड़ जाऊंगी. Which means that when a bird is trying to land on a thin perch, like a thin, she doesn't think that what will happen if this twig, if this branch snaps. the bird trusts its wing that even if it snaps, I will fly away because I have the capacity to. So I think when we talk about love, that love that we keep talking about, it's never about the other person, or it's not never outside. It's about my capacity to love and hold a relationship and to be in that space. So as long as I can operate from love, maybe I've experienced some failures in my life, but it'll never shake my faith on the fact that, I would love to love and I would love to be with someone. And if the love is too strong, you'll figure out a way to take care of the uncertainties. And sometimes when the uncertainty is too high, and even if it doesn't work out, you will still have faith that you will still find love, because that love is always here.
That's right.
Yeah.
From your coaching, what's the biggest mistake
Hmm.
you see people making in modern dating?
Focusing too much on the list of what they want in a partner rather than focusing on the list of what value that they bring to the table. Too many of us are too busy talking about what we want rather than what we bring to the table. And I think if we switch that and if we focus on what we bring to the table, we'll start attracting a lot of good partners in our life.
And how do you think that the dating apps have changed the whole game of relationships?
Let's say if I was the founder of a dating app, while I claim that I want people to find love and partners, but if I have to monetize my app, like if I have to get money and all of that, I need retention on the app, which means I need people to keep coming back and using the app. But if people find love, which means people are stepping away from the app, which doesn't make sense in terms of business. So the whole business model is built in a way that they want you to come back again and again and use the app and take the subscription.
Yeah.
So while the dating apps claim that they want you to find love, they actually don't. They just want, activity on the app.
Yeah.
So if we think from a macro perspective, put yourself in a founder's shoe, I think you'll leave dating app very soon, because you'll realize it's a trap. It's never built for you. It's shown to you that it's made for you, but it's made to get investor money and raise funds.
Yeah. You teach about over-functioning in your relationships. Can you break this down?
Over-functioning basically means trying to take care of everything. What I've seen, an example would look like, let's say if you and I are in a relationship, over-functioning, there would usually be one partner, either you or me, who is the over-functioner here.
Yeah.
Which would mean that all the planning, let's say if we were to go out for dinner, I'm the one who's booking the place. I'm the one who's looking what to wear. I'm the one who's suggesting everything. I'm the one taking the lead all the time. You're just responding. So if I ask you that, hey, 5 things we can go, tell me which one, you'll be like, anyone is fine. And you're not taking any lead. And the one person just taking care of everything. And now what happens eventually, one partner is trying to take care of the house also. They're trying to take care of the plans also. They're trying to keep the romance also alive. They're trying to take care of the kids. And so there's one party just doing all of it, because when one person is taking care of everything, of course the other person is enjoying because it's taking away a lot. And instead of realizing that they should contribute more, now they're just sit back and be like, yeah, now it's fine. Oh, I love this relationship. Like, it's so easy for me and all that.
Yeah.
They end up not seeing how much work the other partner has to put to make your life easy.
Yeah.
And so after a point, it becomes an imbalance here, wherein one person doing all the work. And now after a point, this becomes a new normal, which means this person starts expecting that, oh, of course, we are supposed to go out. You're the one who's supposed to book the place. Because for the last 3 years, that's the standard that's been set.
Yeah.
And it starts bringing a lot of resentment when the other person wants to change, because this person is burning out.
Yeah.
And this person's expectations going higher and higher.
Yeah.
And so they start getting disappointed because their expectations are not being met. And they start getting disappointed because they are getting burnt out.
So how does someone know if they are the over-functioner?
I think a normal way to figure it out would be to see if in a relationship, if you're in a relationship, see if you're doing all the work. That's a good way to gauge. And the second is, if you find yourself burning out way too often, that might be a sign as well that you're just trying to hold the relationship all by yourself. Yeah, these two.
This sounds like something what I really do.
Mm.
I always try to fix things.
Mm.
And how do you help someone step back without feeling like they are abandoning their partner?
Is to not make it about ourselves and genuinely show some trust in your partner as well. Like, a lot of time, our fixer attitude comes from the fact that, oh yeah, they can't fix it or they can't take care of it, so let me just do it. But if we start trusting our partner that, hey, I believe you can do it. If you need my help, I'm here. But I also believe your ability to do it. So I'm here if you're around. That's it. And let them be. And if you think after a point they need support, then you offer. Or if they ask you, then you offer. Rather than you just going there all the time and be like, yeah, tell me what needs to do, and I'll fix it. Trusting the ability, which is something that we don't admit. We romanticize that, oh, I'm a giver, but we don't. Sometimes we also admit that we probably don't trust the other person will be able to figure it out. Maybe you'll end up doing something bigger together rather than trying to play peekaboo with who to trust and not to trust.
So Ronit, you talk a lot about masculine and feminine energy a lot. What does this look like practically?
Masculine and feminine are basically energies and traits. The divine masculine energy would be more about leadership, about containing space, about initiating, leading, taking care of it, protecting, serving, all of that. And the feminine energy is more receiving and creativity, intuition, gut feeling, emotions, receiving, expanding, creativity, joy, flow. That's a feminine energy. Now, all of us have a mixture of masculine and feminine energies. All of us, regardless of gender. It does happen that men are tend and wired mostly to have more masculine than feminine because of the roles that we used to play when we were hunter and gatherers. And women tend to have higher feminine than masculine. But that doesn't mean that men do not have feminine or women do not have masculine. And the problem comes in wherein we try to shove and completely negate the fact that we don't have. So for men, this whole idea of being like hyper independent and I'm the one to take care of alpha wolf and all of that comes because they're trying to be too much in the masculine. And they're abandoning their own feminine side, which can be in tune with the emotion, which can connect with themselves and the other person, which is why the more ultra masculine a guy goes, the more disconnected he becomes from everybody because he's abandoning the feminine. For the feminine, they're predominantly more feminine, the women, but they also have masculine. When a woman tries to become all about feminine, and do nothing about any initiative or leadership, she becomes very passive. And then she ends up attracting like a very hyper masculine guy. And then because, similars attract. So they try to fill the gap of each other. On the other hand, sometimes what happens is some women, because they don't get the opportunity to exercise their feminine side and they only have to take care of everything. So their masculine sides keep going up. So you'll see a lot of women who become very masculine. They say how like they've become the man in the relationship. And there's an imbalance because naturally they'll benefit more from being in the feminine because it's a superpower. It's not that they can't be masculine, but it's just that you can play a very more beautiful role in that field because it's a superpower. Same goes with men. It's not that you can not be masculine. You cannot be feminine. You can definitely be feminine, but your superpower is being masculine. So if you focus on your superpower and she focuses on her superpower, and then you bring your superpowers together, what you can create is a big energy field and a beautiful thing. But somewhere both of them are trying to prove something to each other or to themselves that, oh, I can be this and you can do that and I can do that and all that. So there's competition instead of collaboration. But all of us have masculine, feminine. Now, the best way I've heard somebody put it, one of my friends, she's also a coach, she tells me that when a man and woman get married, there are 4 marriages that happen. Okay. The first marriage is between my man and her woman. The second marriage is my man and her man. The third marriage is my woman and her woman. And the fourth marriage is my woman and her man. So all 4 parties get matched. There are marriages and all. Then it becomes a divine union. Because all of us have that part. The moment it becomes a competition between any of that is when there's a lot of kalesh or a lot of conflict that will start happening. So the wisdom behind knowing about polarities is to know when I need to be more in my masculine, when I need to be more in my feminine. Like when I know that like my partner needs me to hold space and take care of her, then my masculine won't show up. My masculine will show up and be like, I'll create that space. But when I know that my partner, she's trying to connect with me more, then I need to let go of my masculine and I need to tap into my feminine side so that I can also let the guards down and I'm able to receive the trust and love and care that she can bring to the table. Similarly for her as well. She needs to know when she needs to crank up her feminine, when she needs to crank up her masculine. So it's a very beautiful dance, but both parties have to very consciously do it. Then it becomes a relationship of passion. Like I keep telling people that there are 3 stages, 3 kinds of relationships. One is tragic, one is logic, one is magic. So tragic is wherein It's like, you do this for me and I'll do this for you. So it's a transaction, a business transaction. It's tragic because there's nothing happening there. Then some people think like, oh, we'll take a more mature approach and be like, we'll do logic. So, I bring 50% to the table, you bring 50% to the table, and good business deal. Logically makes sense, but then logic is not vibrant in relationships. Like, there's no passion, there's no fun. And third is the magic stage. Is because I love you, I will do everything for you because I want to be happy. And similarly, the other person does the same. I will do everything for you. And becomes a very beautiful, sacred dance and union of the masculine and feminine, just trying to show up for each other and trying to show up for themselves. And that creates something that's very expansive, which I call the magic relationship. So learning about the polarities will really help you tap into the magic, because when the collaboration happens, it gives rise to passion. Passion in receiving and passion in giving as well.
For example, there's a couple who came to you, they are on a tragic level. And they want to reach that magic level. What are the steps or what are the conversations you're going to have with them? And how long does it take?
Giving a specific timeline would be difficult because it completely depends on the kind of work they're doing and since how long it's been happening and what's the history and so on. So timeline is difficult. But my first step would be to ask them, what do they want? Most of us do not have clarity on what they want. We keep saying that we want so many things, but generally ask them, what do you want? They don't know that. First step is that. Second thing is to get into the root cause of why they want to be in a partnership. If they want to be in a partnership to fill a gap or void they have, they're signing up for a disaster. But if they're coming from a place of love and I want to share my life and I want to share my love and my passion with somebody, right track. So then initially it's a lot of diagnosis stuff that happens to see what's happening. Another thing I would ask them is, which need is getting fulfilled for both of them to be in this relationship? No matter if you're suffering or thriving, there are certain human needs that is getting fulfilled for you, which is why you're still here. What are those needs? And then we'll see what are the needs that are dependent on each other and what are the needs that are independent on each other. Needs that are dependent to each other, then we need to figure out a good communication model between them so that they can communicate in a safe space with them. And the needs that are independent of each other, then we need to diversify their portfolio and see if those independent needs can be taken care by other people as well. Because in some time what happens is we want our partner to be our best friend also, our partner also, our mom also, dad also, business partner, all of that as well. But there's too many expectations on one person. A partner is just your partner and there's just another being, it's just coming into collaboration. So if we can delegate some of those responsibilities, if we can have our own set of friends, if we can have our own set of hobbies, if we can have our own set of travel, if we can have our own life in general, then it'll take a lot of pressure away from the relationship. So when you enter in the relationship, you operate from a space of, oh, I'm looking forward to it because there's something beautiful I want to create, rather than thinking, no, you're supposed to do these 10 things, why you're not doing it. So diversifying that. And lastly would be creating a vision together. I think the couples who last have a shared vision. If there's no shared vision, no matter how similar they are, they can be like twins, but long term it will not last if they don't have a shared vision. Because if you're going in different directions, no matter how much you're walking ahead, you're going to walk in different paths. And after some time, 5 years, 10 years, you'll realize that, oh, we're in completely different journeys. So maybe different goals, but similar vision for what they want in life. So most of us choose familiarity rather than the shared vision. Sometimes two people can look very similar to each other, but their visions are very different. Probably not a good match. Some people can look very different to each other, but have a shared vision, probably a great match. So it depends on the shared vision. So I would take them through that journey. Typically, it will take me, if it's a couple that's genuinely putting in the work, 6 months they'll be done. Like 6 months, they'll be in a very good space. If it's a couple that's on and off, then a year. If a couple who has probably is one of the pain points, then 2-3 months, it's good. The longest I worked with a couple would be 2.5 years. But beyond that, no. Beyond that, then I think there's something fundamentally not working, and then you might want to consider what's best for both of you.
So how do you handle conflict in a relationship when a couple is coming and they're having a lot of conflicts? How do you handle that first?
So a typical relationship coaching session would look like, so anybody reached out. So I'll have a conversation individually with the first partner and the second partner, so that I'm having independent POVs. Then I get them into a session together. But before the session starts, I set very strong ground rules. of this is what the conversation, because I'm the moderator here.
Yeah.
So they don't get to engage in a conversation until I have invited that conversation. It's not that conflicts will not happen, but you moderate the whole thing. So you keep reminding the ground rules if they're being overstepped. And then what you do is you give space one by one to both of them to express. When somebody's expressing, the other person is not allowed, no matter what. You feel like yelling, go out of the room and yell, but you're not allowed to respond to what this person is saying. Same goes the other way as well. When I open the stage for things, then I also share framework in what way, in what language it will be shared. So it's a lot of curation of that. And after 3-4 sessions, they learn the ground rules, and then you can relax a little bit and only be a little cautious of when you know there's a bomb coming. Like, I know this topic is coming, so something's going to happen, and just like curate that, and rest is keep taking it. It's the initial few sessions, which is a task. Yeah. But sometimes that happens. They end up yelling, and I'm like, hey, let's do it another day.
So then how do you fight fair when both the parties are triggered?
By not getting involved in the fight. I have to keep reminding myself that it's not my fight. What I've learned is no matter how relatable something is, it's not my journey. Which means I'm not their hero, nor am I their villain. I'm just a third person who has the resources to initiate a few conversations and possibly figure out a solution, help them figure out a solution for them. Whatever they do, good or bad, it is their responsibility. It is not mine. I'll just operate from absolute objectivity and safe space and positive regards for both of them. So it's something that comes with practice. Sometimes it does happen that a case comes in and it's way too relatable for me. Then ethics says that we should not take that case.
Okay.
So then I'll communicate that to them and be like, hey, I think that I might not be completely objective here. So I'm more than happy to recommend you to my peer or recommend you some other therapist or coach who might be able to help, because sometimes it happens. And with individual clients as well. Like sometimes one-on-one clients, somebody will come and share something. I'm like, hey, this is my story.
Yeah.
If it's my story, it's called transference. You shouldn't ethically take it. Because
No, but what's the reason behind not taking it? But because I feel like from the part of mind I'm processing from is I'll be able to help them more because I have gone through the same thing.
Yeah. You'll be able to create a safe space for them, but you will not be able to potentially empower them completely. Creating a safe space is great. But after a point, empowering your clients includes a lot of challenging them. And for that, you have to be very objective. And when you start relating too much with your client, then your objectivity starts getting compromised sometimes. Not always, but quite often. So ethically, you would rather want to not put yourself there, not because of you, but because if a client is coming, it might not be very fair for them to not receive 100% of your while they're coming with their time and money and resources to seek help from you.
So are you saying you will somewhere try to protect them?
No, not protect them. A lot of people come to me for grief coaching. I work on grief because I've experienced grief very closely in a lot of my ways.
Yeah.
If I have not worked on a certain grief, then that department, I will not take a client because I know that after a point, I will not be able to offer objectivity because I've not reached there. So it'll be a disservice to my client to not have my 100% self there. Not that I can't. Probably she can become my friend. He or she can become my friend in life. But right now is not a good time for us to be a coach and coachee.
This was a bit conflicting for me because when I was doing my tennis coaching, because I have gone through some things in my career. So I have healed that part and I know how to fix these things. So I was speaking from that mindset that, yes, I mean, I can fix your problem.
Yeah.
But now it makes sense the way you explained it.
You can support them. You can empower them to a very, very point. Now, the problem, what happens is, with the people who have same journey than you, they somewhere become your favorites. And the problem with that is you'll start facing difficulty with letting them go. The most important point in a coach-coachee relationship is to close that relationship.
Yeah.
And you will not want to close that relationship because you relate with that so much, and then you'll just keep them, and it somehow becomes a cage for them and you as well, because now maybe they want to fly and move on, but somewhere we are only holding that relationship back. So, and also because you said this line, you cannot fix someone, and it's not your job to fix someone. As a coach, your job is to empower someone.
Yeah.
And then you let them be in their journey.
Right.
If they win, you celebrate for them. It's their win. If you lose, you just support them. It's still their loss.
Yeah.
If we get into I need to fix them, you take away their ownership and responsibility, and you take it into yours, and that's overburdening for you and disempowering for them. It's not fair.
So there's a research by Gottman Institute It shows that the couples who learn specific conflict resolution skills are 50% less likely to divorce. What are the key skills everyone should know?
First and foremost would be learning the I language. I. So whenever we tend to communicate, like in conflict, we always talk about you did this because of you. You. It's always you. It's always pointing. It's a very violent sort of communication. It needs to be reframed into I, taking ownership for what I feel. So let's say if I was late to this podcast, you would have told me two things. One, why are you late? You don't respect my time. Da, da, da. Or you could say that, hey, I felt that my time was not respected because you were late. Or I felt this. Like the moment you take that responsibility, I don't feel attacked, and now I'm receptive to listening to what you have. But the moment, like for example, I'll show you this thing. Can you lean a little forward and show me your fist? Okay. Okay. Show me your fist. Cool. What did I ask you to do?
Just show you the feast.
But why were you pushing me back?
Because you were pushing me.
Exactly. Our nervous system is ready to push back the moment it sees in advance. That's how we live in. So in communication, the same way. And most of our communication is nonverbal. So the way we communicate becomes, the moment becomes I, you'll receive it. The second is learning this framework. It's called NVC, nonviolent communication. It's a very beautiful framework. There are 4 steps to a nonviolent communication. It's stating the fact, expressing the need, expressing the feeling, then expressing the need, and then expressing the request. Like it's a 4-step thing. You can Google NVC. So anything that you want to communicate, it can be broken down into 4 steps. And if you frame it in that format, the other person will feel heard, validated, and they will reflect on what you need to say, and it'll be a respectful conversation. So learning NVC really helps in relationships. Third would be learning about this concept called love language. Love language is how we express and receive love. And there are primary 5 love languages, and there could be more of how we give love and receive love as well. There's also something called the conflict language. How people fight. Everybody fights in a different way, which has been conditioned since they grew up, from the way they had to fight, from the way they saw their parents fight, or they saw their closest relationship fight. So they model that fight model. And so learning about your partner's conflict style as well. So if you know that if your partner is mad at you, she'll yell and cry and go eat some ice cream, maybe, let's say.
Yeah.
If you learn that, then you'll be able to navigate that in a conflict in a way that you know this is going to happen. So you can be more respectful. So if the next time a fight is happening, don't start making ice cream comments because you know that she goes there, right? If a couple can fight well, they can overcome anything, anything, if they know how to fight well.
You have been open about losing someone you loved. How did that change your approach towards relationships?
I think losing her brought spirituality into my life in a very painful way. Because logic and science was not able to help me process losing her. Now I look back and I say that, and I keep telling her, like, you could have used a better way to teach me spirituality, not this way. It didn't change fundamental things of what I think of relationship, definitely not. But it did change the fact that you should not keep waiting. If you find something that you believe is worth it, then you should go all in and not keep waiting or thinking that this person's here, like we'll see how it's going, because maybe you'll not be able to see her again ever. So one learning I've had is that the next time when I find somebody with whom I see a genuine resonance and alignment, I would take a leap of faith rather than just thinking that it's gonna keep taking care of itself slow and all that. So that's one thing that I feel. I mean, I don't have data to back it. Second, what I have learned about relationships, it's a very hard lesson actually. I recently put a reel also on this, is the art and the act of letting go. So I'm currently learning how to let go of her as well, in the sense, like, not to forget her or anything, but also to let go of the space that she takes in my life, because it somewhere limits me from giving that space to any woman who enters my life. I think the closest to God you can feel is when you're in love and when you are making love to somebody. The last time she and I had made love, I had tears in my eyes because I felt like, fuck, I think it healed a part of me, and then yes, I'm very grateful to her for that.
It takes a lot of courage to share something which you are so attached to.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for
No,
trusting.
thank you for holding space for me. Of course, you created that. That's why I shared. Yeah.
So, what's the difference between authentic love and what most of people out there that think about love?
I think 99% of the love that people claim, it's not love, it's attachment. I think people need to really investigate within themselves and reflect whether they really love something or not, because there's a difference between love and attachment. So attachment says I love you, but in bracket there is I love you because I want you to make me happy, because you make me feel this way, because I want you, because I want something, right? So it's always grasping, it's always wanting something. So it holds, it tries to grasp. Love also says I love you, but it says I love you, I want you to be happy. Right? I don't want anything from you. I just want you to be happy. No matter how it looks like, whether it looks like with me being in your life or not being in your life, doesn't matter. I just want you to be happy. So love comes with a lot of freedom. Love is like this. Attachment is like this. And a lot of us, when we speak about love, when you really reflect, it's a lot of this. The moment it becomes this, it's grasping, it's attachment, it's not love. Which is why people say, "Oh, why does love bring me so much pain and suffering and all?" Because it's not love that's bringing that. It's your grasping that's bringing that. Because you try holding your fist for a very long time, it'll start hurting. Right? No matter what important thing. I can give you a diamond here, and I can ask you to just keep pressing for 10 minutes. After one point, it'll keep hurting, and you'll have to open it. If you don't open it, then you'll injure yourself. So the biggest thing that we need to learn is to identify the difference between the things we actually love and the things we're attached to. Because the more you're attached to something, the more you're afraid of letting it go, and the more you keep holding on to it. So there's no breathing space for it, and nothing nurtures there.
And you end up making a chaos out of it.
Yeah, it does. And all you're saying in your head is like, "Oh, but I'm trying to love you so much. Why is it not happening?" I'm like, no, because you're not letting that person breathe. It doesn't work like that.
I think that happens with a lot of us when we are growing up. The initial years of our dating, when that's our first love. That's when you try to hold on and try to control.
In my first relationship, within 1 month of dating, I changed my wallpaper into my younger photo and her younger photo and put a collage together, and we were like, "Oh, this is how our baby will look like." Yeah, and then I got cheated on, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's not how it works." Yeah.
So, how do you know when someone is being real versus performing?
Consistency, one. I can perform in front of you right now. Maybe I can perform in front of you on day 2, day 3 also. I can't keep regularly performing. And if I'm performing, my act will sometime fail, or you will see that. And sometimes you see a few people and you talk to them, you're like, yeah, so this was not real, right? So consistency. Second is alignment between their actions and words. If I say something, do I actually implement in my life? If I'm implementing it, I'm a real person. If I'm just talking about it, then I'm not real, but then I'm just performing. And third is, I think if everybody likes me, then I'm most likely performing and I'm not being my authentic self. Because if I'm very authentic, which means I will have too many opinions about too many things which might not align with a lot of people, which means not everybody will like me, and I have to be okay with that. But if everybody likes me, which means that I'm trying to bend or mold myself in a way that's pleasing or convenient for the other person, which means I'm performing. Yeah.
So, let's end this with some rapid fire.
Okay.
Biggest red flag in dating.
Biggest red flag in dating: comparison.
One thing every man should know about women.
A lot of times, what they literally say, they don't mean that. They mean something else. We just have to be patient and a little more mindful of the context, and then we'll know what they're actually saying and not take words literally.
Look more deeper.
Yeah, look more deeper.
One thing every woman should know about men.
That men need time and space to process. And that is not them leaving you or abandoning you. They just need to be by themselves to process.
Best dating advice for someone in Dubai/expat community.
attend a lot of different community events offline. It could be a poetry meetup, a kirtan, a book club, or anything, and learn how to initiate conversations.
So if you could go back and tell your army self one thing about relationships, what would it be?
That you might be the biggest and the most badass soldier, but go home, put that guard down, and be a cute little golden retriever and allow yourself to be loved and pampered because you deserve that.
And be more playful.
Yeah, be more playful. Have some fun in life.
Yeah. So for someone listening who's wearing a mask in their relationship, afraid to be vulnerable, what's one thing they can do this week?
Maybe pick one aspect or one small thing that you know you're putting a mask on and try taking off that mask and see how your partner responds. If a partner responds with a lot of love, care, and support, that partner is worth investing in. You can take off more mask. But if you see judgment coming in, if you see some hostility coming out, then try take out another mask. If it's the same, then you might not be in a very nurturing situation. Both of you might just be playing mask with each other and nobody will be happy.
So where people can find you and learn more about your work?
I mostly make content on Instagram. So on Instagram, they can just type Ronit Ranjan or they can type Mustang_R Ranjan and they'll find me yapping a lot about relationships. I love doing that. Yeah. Or hopefully if I decide to make Dubai one of my bases, so you'll probably see me somewhere events. I'll also be doing some kirtan here and there.
But yeah, let's go. I mean, we are looking forward for you to move to Dubai.
Yeah,
it's an amazing and very exciting place to be. Yeah. You get what you wish for here.
Yeah, thank you, man. And I want to just take a moment to acknowledge you. It's the first time we're meeting. We met like just before the podcast started, and there was a immediate sense of like brotherhood and camaraderie. I think maybe the titles helped me because just before coming, she told me that, oh, he's also from ex-Navy. Maybe you can explore.
Yeah.
So I think that already put some guards down because I'm like, yeah, he'll get some of the things. I don't have to explain him too much. And I think the way you were very receptive of what I was speaking, you're a very good listener. You didn't feel the need to keep pitching in your opinions about something. Like if you asked me a question, you stayed with listening to my response rather than trying to give your response to me. And I think my favorite would be how you would just look for these mini validation that side and just be like, do that.
Yeah, because I keep getting, I'm not a good listener. So I was like, no, let me hear it.
No, so you did a great job and I really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you so much, Ronit. It was really amazing sharing about your army and then the transition from army to relationship, the coaching, the walk you did from Kanyakumari to Srinagar, and sharing a part of you which you are very vulnerable about. Thank you so much for trusting us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.